At the White House this hour, Donald Trump will appear later today to take part in a Thanksgiving tradition, the presidential turkey pardon. Corn and Cobb, the names of the turkeys that are set to be pardoned today. Trump also appears to be giving up his game of chicken with the incoming Biden administration. He will now allow his officials to cooperate with the president-elect's transition team. And that is where we begin with our senior Washington editor, Lindsay Duncombe, who's live in Washington for us. 16 days it's been, Lindsay, since Joe Biden became president-elect. His transition team has spent every moment since trying to get around the roadblocks the White House is throwing up. Donald Trump finally relenting last night.
Yeah, and this happened, Heather, as a result of a number of different factors. One, states were certifying those electoral results in swing states, including notably yesterday in Michigan. Pressure was growing, particularly from an increasing number of elected Republicans, and Donald Trump's legal team kept losing cases in court. And it was the court cases and the vote certifications that the head of the Government Services Agency that would begin the transition cited in a letter to Joe Biden saying that the transition could finally go ahead. And this is one of those public officials that usually, in a normal scenario, works behind the scenes. Her name is Emily Murphy, but because of this 16-day pause, this Trump appointee had really become quite a focus of attention, so much so that in this unusual letter to Joe Biden, she pointed out that she had actually received threats to her safety, including threats to her dog. And in Donald Trump's tweet yesterday, it was those threats that he referenced in saying that he gave the agency the go-ahead to, quote, do what needs to be done, saying, though, that he would not stop the fight. And later in a tweet, he went on to say that this was the most corruption election ever, but that do what needs to be done remains probably, well, at this stage, the closest we've been to a concession, potentially the closest we will get to a concession, and it really does have an impact on what it means for that Biden transition.
It is a huge undertaking, the transition process, Lindsay, between two administrations at any time. Thousands of people to put in various positions for Biden and his team. And I guess we're going to hear later today, officially, some of the people that he is going to be naming. But what does it mean now to the whole being able to move ahead without obstruction for the team?
Well, you talk about it as a huge transition in a normal time, and of course this is anything but a normal time, because the information that the team will now have access to is key to really what kind of economic recovery plan could come out, how you're going to administer a vaccine. The Biden team will now have access to the Operation Warp Speed plan. They'll be able to consult with Dr. Fauci and other officials who have been working on the vaccine and the pandemic response. A woman who held this position before Emily Murphy under the Obama administration describes the transition this way.
At the end of the day, there's 100 federal agencies, close to 4 million federal employees, and a lot of policy and determination to understand and to take hold of before January 20th. And we want the presidential team to be prepared on day one. We don't want them playing catch up. And unfortunately, they've lost about 20 days at this point.
And as you mentioned, Heather, that presidential team, Biden's cabinet, will be formally introduced this afternoon. Notably, it includes people with lots of government experience, close ties to Biden, and it is a diverse team featuring people of color, men and women.
Lindsay, thank you so much. Lindsay Duncombe, our senior Washington editor.